Hello and welcome back to the Project Seed Money podcast. My name is Sharissa Bradley, and I am so excited to be joined today with author Kristine Jensen. Thank you so much for being here with me and spending a little time today.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me. I've been watching some of your interviews and I couldn't wait for this because it feels like we're just going to have a conversation, and that feels really lovely.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. And thank you for saying that. That is absolutely my goal to make it a peaceful environment where we can share our stories and just hopefully encourage the next generation of female writers to share as well. So I just want to jump right in and ask, have you always wanted to be an author?
I don't know that I've always wanted to be an author. I think I've always wanted to be a writer. I graduated from college with a degree in film and video production, and I gravitated towards the writing and producing side. So I had that as my career for a long, long time. When I moved to Oregon, I made a switch to becoming a marketing copywriter. So I've made my living as a writer for a long time. But I will say that being an author, writing screenplays and writing a novel is a very different thing indeed. Oddly enough, I feel way more vulnerable as an author, and also more delighted because finally I'm writing exactly what I want to write and what I want to write for myself and readers who might be able to relate to my story. So it's a different kind of writing experience.
Oh, I can imagine what an incredible journey to lead you up into being an author. But like you're saying, it's a completely different thing. You're now writing the things that you want to write. So I wonder what was the catalyst from kind of writing in this other way to writing in the way that you wanted and now having a published work in the world?
Um, well, I love to tell stories. Obviously, you tell stories when you make a documentary or you make a marketing video, or even when you're writing marketing copy, you're telling a story. What always I think I loved the most about storytelling was the emotion. A wise person once said, people will always remember how you make them feel. And so I understood that the importance of emotion and feeling in a story. And I really wanted to explore that a lot further. So from the time that I was a little girl, I was writing poetry. Even many years ago, a writing partner and I were writing screenplays together. And it was that making up a story and being able to put as much feeling into it as you want to, that was really attractive to me. I didn't know about writing a novel. A novel felt like this big, huge thing. I mean, a screenplay is challenging, but it is limited. You have a format, you're trying to do it in like 110 pages or less. A novel felt like a big fat thing. Like, I don't know if
It
I
is.
could write that much. So it really felt like a challenge, but like a good challenge to me.
Yes. That is beautiful. So then what avenue did you take to publish? Are you self-published? Did you go the traditional route?
I am self-published.
Okay.
When I finished my novel and I worked with a developmental editor and I got it to a place that I felt was really as good as I could get it, I started querying, and I queried agents for almost 2 years. It was rough. There were a few times that I got really close, and those times were almost worse than the times that I got like the blanket rejections or I love this story, but I don't know a publisher I can sell it to. And it was just really dragging on. And I found that I would have to really work myself up into researching and sending out 10 more queries. I was bribing myself with, a new pair of shoes. anything I could think of to like force myself to get those queries out. And eventually I was like, what? This is kind of soul crushing. It was really important for to me that my story be published while my mom was still alive. My mom, I better not say how old she is because if she hears this, she'll be furious with me.
That's okay.
But let's just say she's getting up there in years. And it was really important to me that this story get out and be in published form. So I don't know. I think finally I was just worn down and originally I'd felt like, oh, self-publishing is this sort of last resort. But I started changing my mind about self-publishing the more I learned about um, the value of it, the control you have, the fact that even if you get an agent, they may not be able to sell it to a publisher. You're still going to be doing a lot of your own marketing. And something shifted in me, and I decided that self publishing was a really viable option. And then a whole nother set of learning had to kick in. As you know, if you self-publish, there's a lot to learn: how to format, how to find the right platform, how to design or work with a designer on a great book cover, how to get reviews, how to get your book out there, how to market. There's a whole other learning curve that happens. But I was like ready to take that on. And I found that to be actually a really fun process.
Yes, I love that. And I love the control of it. I recently interviewed somebody who was talking about like the mistakes in the manuscripts and how like she's always worried like the first week like there's going to be like this big mistake. And there is, as an author, as a published author, like there's always like something that comes up later. But when you are self-published, when you own the control of that, like within 5 days, you can have brand new files uploaded and that mistake is now gone. So, and she was just bringing that up, and I feel like that's one of these like little things that we don't really think about. But when you have full control over your titles, you can fix things, you can change things, you can edit, you can make it perfect. So I just love the control of the self-publishing world. I think it got kind of a bad rep, but now we're just rising up and just doing it ourselves.
I think that, I think ideas are really changing as publishing industry is changing. I think so too are viewers' attitudes about self-published books, that there are some really um, solid, really worthy, really amazing books that are self-published, that it's not just authors who can't get an agent, that it is a decision that great writers are making about how they want their books to be in the world.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And nowadays, all the publishing houses are owned by one person, anyways. So it's really like you want to be published by one person or you just want to publish yourself. And it's true. It's
It's
like every week I'm like, oh, I guess there's no more publishing houses.
it's so true. And I can really I have a lot of empathy for agents because you understand that they're really taking a big risk. I think that they have had to become a lot more cautious about the books that they take on. It was really eye-opening for me when a really good friend of mine who had a beautiful memoir finally, after a year and a half of querying, got an agent. We were so excited for her. This was it. This was the beginning of her book really getting out in the world. And her agent couldn't sell the book to a publisher. And after a year, he dropped her. And it was like, oh my gosh, it was really eye-opening for me because just getting an agent only really gets you half the way there.
Oh, that
So
is so heartbreaking.
it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for both of us because I was so invested in her story
Yes.
and so thrilled for her getting an agent. So
Oh, there is a
doesn't happen a lot, but it happens.
Yeah, there is kind of a dark side to the traditional publishing, that I think we don't really share much about, and that's the timeline. And it is only halfway if you're getting the agent, and then even once you do get picked up, it's still, I mean, the process is years long. So I just love the independence of that, the model that we're doing now, and we can just, and bookstores are accepting of it now too, especially if you're publishing through Ingram Spark, as long as your book is designed properly. Like, bookstores are now carrying independent sellers, so it's not this gate anymore.
That's really true. And there are so many great resources out there now for self-publishers. I invested in, some workshops and some books that really walked me through the process, told me so many things to be on the lookout for, how to get reviews in those early days, how to form a launch book club. I mean, I spent like 3 months learning about the process and really immersing myself in in learning how to do it. And that made all the difference. But there are so many, great resources out there now.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And conferences and things like that, especially to build community and to build all those other aspects that we need, the designer, the formatter, right? And all these other trades. It's a great way to meet those people. So it sounds like learning and gathering information and developing your own craft gave you a little bit more confidence. And you did mention earlier that it was a vulnerable process going from screenwriting to then writing for yourself. I wonder, it sounds like you've developed some tools to kind of battle the self-doubt and the vulnerability. Do you have tools that you've developed to kind of help yourself through that process?
I think I think a big tool is just getting older. I mean, at some point, you're kind of like, well, I don't want to die wondering, or I don't want to be in this place in my life where I wish that I had done something. So that kind of desire to just like, you know what, go for it. Like, what is the worst that's going to happen, right? You're going to embarrass yourself, or you're going to discover that there are some people who think your book is stupid, or who it's not really their cup of tea. And that has happened to me. But also, it's like, well, if I don't try, then I can't succeed. If I try and fail, well, that's okay. I'm going to learn something from it. But I might succeed, and I'll probably succeed. So so why not go for it? Um,
Oh, I
the the other thing, in watching some of the interviews that you've done with authors, this concept comes across all the time, and I just love this, which is, find a community. Because, oh my gosh, there's so many amazing women writers out there who are so generous with their help. Joining a writers group, finding a community, is just invaluable. And I've never been around such a wonderful, generous group of people as when I moved to Oregon 11 years ago and got in a couple of writing groups. And they've become friends, but they're also so helpful. They give advice. They helped me to build a website. I mean, find a community. I've heard that over and over in your interviews, and I just can't stress it enough.
I totally believe that, because when you're doing the process of writing, you have to do that by yourself. Like, there's lots of people, like, you can go on a call and you can do these writing sprints and no one's talking to each other, all the computers are off, but you've got each other kind of in the background. You can do things like that. But for the most part, when you're writing and plotting and storylining, that is all alone. And so it's very easy to get in your mind and think, I'm doing this alone. No one will want to see this. No one will want to hear this. And that self-talk. And I found for myself, when I joined the Women in Publishing conference, that's the community that I joined is called the Women in Publishing Summit. And they are this like 5 to 900 women who are all in the publishing industry, and there's a Facebook group, and you can put in the Facebook group, I'm struggling, I need an editor, I'm struggling, I need a cover designer, or I heard I only have 2 weeks to get this shipment out and Amazon canceled my shipment, where do I go? And they're there instantly, 50 comments, like, here are all the things that you can do. And I was a professor, it was cutthroat because it was all about who was going to get the classes. I was a psychology professor. You got my classes this year, and then you took my classes for next year, and then I didn't get, you got a higher review than I did. It was so cutthroat. And then I moved into the publishing world, and it's all support. It's so loving. And so, because we know how it is.
We know, and we know how vulnerable it is to write something that comes from your heart and to put it out there. And that's the other thing that, a writing group can do. And we were talking about this idea of being vulnerable. Well, my early chapters I shared with two women, and we would share work. And it's a way you can kind of dip your toe in there and say, is this crap, or is this like, is it okay? Is there something here? Like, is this worth pursuing? Should I keep going? That was a great way to then, get feedback and go, oh, okay, there's something here maybe with this story, or they like this, or they're encouraging me to keep going. And boy, is that helpful, because you're right. You're in your little echo chamber when you're writing in your head, and you don't really know if it's any good or not. One day it one day it feels brilliant, and the next day it feels like, what is this crap? Like, I don't know, this is terrible. Who would ever want to read this? I find that I'm not a reliable judge of my writing. That's where other
Oh,
people come in.
me too, me too. And I love that you have somebody that you can send chapters to. And I have that with my writing friends. And oh, I just wrote this, or read this over for me, or is there anything glaringly missing? Right? Because we're writing our own story. Some things can be missing. And I love that. I love that you found a writing community to do that. And they're literally everywhere. I mean, you can't, right? It's like the whole throw a dime and you'll hit. There's so many writing communities, especially online and especially since COVID. So find somebody in your area, in your time zone. It doesn't even have to be, right? You could be somewhere completely different and build
Exactly.
that community. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. And one of those, I'm in two different writing groups, but one of those friends in the first writing group, she moved away, but it didn't matter. Like, you know, we keep on meeting once a month. We keep sharing our writing, and we keep going. I'm honestly not sure if I would have finished the novel if it hadn't been for them. So I give them so much credit for keeping me going and keeping me excited about the project.
This is kind of a perfect time to ask, where can my audience find you and where can they find your book?
I have a website, wednesday-club.com, and they can find out all about the book and about the real story that inspired the book there on the website. And they can join my monthly newsletter. They also can purchase the book on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, bookshop.org, all of the usual online places, and some local bookstores, but
Wonderful. That
mostly
is
on.
amazing. So I just have one last question for you, and that is, if you have anything that you can share inspiration-wise with my audience. They are female authors and they're on the fence and they just need that little bit of encouragement or inspiration. I just wonder if you could say something to help encourage them on their journey.
I think that I would say to trust the process. Trust that you're on the right path with your book, whether that book takes you 6 months or 6 years to get it to a place where you feel it's ready to put out into the world. You'll know in your heart, I think, when you're ready to share it with the world. Trust the process. Some days you don't feel like writing. And for me, that's okay. Trust the process in finding the right time and place to do your writing. Trust yourself.
I love that. Thank you so much. I will make sure to have all the links to get your book and get to your website in the description box. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today and spending a little time.
It's been really great. Thank you for doing what you do and for providing all this great information for other women writers. It's a really wonderful thing that you do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode for Project Seed Money. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I will see you with another interview next week. Bye.